What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm coming at you with the ban list. Once again, released on a Saturday, which means this is like the second time in who knows how long. I wasn't planning on doing anything today, but of course Konami had other plans, and I have seen the list already because there was no way I was holding my excitement. I just had to see everything, but it's still very fresh, my opinions are still very raw, and I haven't given so much time where this discussion won't be fun and interesting, because I'm going to give all my thoughts on this list. I haven't seen what anyone else really thinks, so I don't know if what I'm going to be saying is like a super hot take or not, but I'm just going to give my opinion on the list and the current format as someone who's gone to several regionals, and I've gotten a couple of really solid finishes. I haven't gone to any huge events this format, like a YCS or anything, but I have a pretty good grasp on the format, I think, from like a rogue player perspective, so hopefully I can give some good insights and sort of what I think this means for Yu-Gi-Oh going forward. Enough talking, time to get into it, and it hasn't even been updated on any of their sites, at least not for me. I've tried looking, and I can only use their Twitter to sort of show, which means you're gonna get everything at once, which means like less fun, like no spoilers if you haven't already seen the ban list, but I'm assuming everyone who's seen this has already seen the ban list anyways. So let's start with the Forbidden Unlimited list, and I mean this was a banger for me when I looked at it, because I love these hits. Now, I will say, so going over it, Yugioh Ban, Baronne de Fleur Ban, Savage Ban, Summon Limit Ban, I actually love all of those, but before getting into those and what they mean going forward, I want to talk about some of the stuff they missed, and that would be like Sanctifier or Puppet, or however they wanted to do anything to brand it, because, I mean, like, the branded engine is really strong. It's been a solid deck this format, and it feels only stronger going forward since the power levels maybe gone down a little bit. I think we're still in a very similar format, so maybe that's not even true. But no one likes playing against Sanctifier or Puppet, and a lot of the branded players themselves don't even like running it from what I hear from them. They'd rather just play with engine, summon like 4 Mirror Jades a turn, and play the cool version of branded, but we're in Puppet land, so we're just gonna have to live with that. Centurion is also getting support in Legacy of Destruction to be released soon, and Calamities is missing, which is a little scary. Not really. I mean, even with Calamities, Centurion's not super good right now, and I don't think the support will bring it up to like a tier 1 threat, but it is something we have to deal with Centurion being so good. But just talking about the bans themselves, Yugioh, I like this hit. I think there were many other ways to go around it that might have been better, but this is a hit. Like, they have to make a different Link 1 now, whether that is, and a different Link 1 they can still make if they wanted to, but it's not going to be blocking things like Imperm and Valor like Yugioh did. This card was very strong, but overall it's like a small hit still. I think like Yugioh getting banned does something, but it's not like the biggest hit. Now, Baronne de Fleur and Savage I think are huge, because in my eyes, this means we are essentially only dealing with Fire King Snake Eye. Yes, like, I'm not gonna say 100% with certainty that Pure won't exist. Maybe there's someone who's going to like go in the lab and figure out another way to play without the Fire King cards to where you can run Pure with a lot of non-engine, but I don't really know what they're going for. Like, the whole point was that they got Omni Negates in the form of Savage and Baronne, and they used Formula to get there. And now Jet Synchron doesn't feel worth it, so what are you going for? That wouldn't be a Ponix anyways. Like, Ponix feels like 100% the best way to play it now. And I think that's great, because in my opinion, coming from like a rogue perspective, I don't know how anyone who is used to playing Fire King or Snake Eye mirrors feels about this. But for me, Fire King feels so much more manageable, and honestly like 10 times easier to beat for most of the decks I've played, because it just doesn't have hard negates. Like, cards like Cosmic Cyclone feel really strong versus that deck. Things like Evenly Match feel really strong versus that deck. Talents and things like that feel so much stronger versus the Fire King version. Even things like Soul Release could be back on the table. Droll and Lockbird's back on the table. Like, Fire King loses to so much more without the presence of these Omni Negates. So I feel like, even though like Fire King seems like the better version, that version for me is much more fun to play against, because it has less non-engine, which is annoying to deal with, and it doesn't have Omni Negates that were really strong. Like, now I feel like I set a Karma Cannon in my Paleo tier deck, and it's just foolproof about to wipe an entire board, and that feels really good. So, in my opinion, these hits are strong. This also affects things like Sword Soul randomly, Dragon Link, the Whitewood stuff coming out later can't go for Savage. I had decks running, or can't go for Barone, I had decks running Barone with my Generator Runic deck. It's not really a big deal for me that Barone's banned in my decks because it's easily replaceable, but this changes a lot for like Monadium, well, every Synchro deck, but yeah, these hits I think are incredibly based, super awesome. I actually love everything on this Forbidden List, so I want to shout out Konami because this doesn't really seem like out of touch or anything. Like, we wanted cards like this hit. Summon Limit got banned, like they're listening to us complain about floodgates. This is something that they've done the last couple of lists, and maybe even the last 3 lists. It felt to me like they're listening to players randomly, which they've never done in the past. I don't know if someone else is running the ban section, but in my opinion, this Forbidden List looks awesome. And again, I don't know what everyone else is saying. I think it's maybe missing a few cards, but overall, 10 out of 10, or 9 out of 10 for the ban section. On to the limited cards, and this is where my initial hype for the ban list went down a little bit because there's a lot of things on here I really don't like. Starting off with Protos, that's horrifying. Now, Sword Soul lost Barone, so they must have been like, Sword Soul is near unplayable without that card, let's give them Protos. I don't think this changes Sword Soul's position in the format. I'm more scared of how, like, maybe some crazy combo decks can search this card, and the fact that Sword Soul now has this on their, like, ceiling of their end board means if you don't open like Nibiru, they can go for the Lungyun, Chixiao, draw like 3 cards, have good interrupts, and end Protos, which is horrifying. But Sword Soul is weaker to interruption now without Barone, and their end boards overall might be a little weaker. So, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm a little scared of it. I don't think it's great to be in the game. Like, this card just shouldn't be in the game. It's unfun to play against, but I guess you can't win them all. Tidal is a good bring back. I mean, all the Dragon Rulers should be at 3. They don't do anything. I don't know why we're putting them to 1 first. Maybe just something to excite us a little bit with each ban list, like, oh, a Dragon Ruler's back. Tidal, in my opinion, is the most horrifying of them all because it's the one that feels the least power crept. Mostly because Mermail, like, who's playing Mermail, right? It's not out there, but as someone who's played the deck, if that deck goes off and goes first, it's pretty much an FTK. It's looping like multiple cards out of your hand. It kills hand traps with Minstrel. It's a really unfun deck to play against, and Tidal does make it better, so that's a little scary. Overall, I don't think this is doing anything, but it is the scariest of them all because Stream with Dragoons, it's interesting. Tidal might see some play on the Rogue level for that. Colossus is the most horrifying of all for me. I despise this card. I know Crush Cards is going to be insanely happy about this. I'm thinking about that now, but this card is horrifying. Like, this card is just unfun to play against it. It's a card that you can rarely beat without non-engine, which feels really bad. Like, you need non-engine to beat Colossus, so Colossus turns into a you better have drawn the out situation. And he's really unfun to play against. He's just Thunder King that can't die and is huge. And he's very easy to summon. Like, I know there were lines in Monadium that could use, like, Nemesis stuff, so if Monadium can somehow end on Colossus, that sounds horrifying. I'm not sure on that. But yeah, this card's just unfun. I don't like this card being back, but here it is. Hopefully it does nothing, but yeah, this is, sure is a card. Kieran coming back I think is fine. I have, like, some personal hate from this card from, like, 2016 format, but I think in today's game, it's fine, and Magispector got support, so they should probably have this. Chicken Gang coming back, I don't think does anything at 1. Maybe. This card was like a problem back in the day, but it's been so long, like besides the Monarch FTK, I don't even remember why this card was a problem too much, but we'll see how Chicken Game evolves. I don't think it's doing anything. Anti-Spell at 1, again, I want to commend Konami because they're listening to Floodgates being hit. Like, after they hit the TC Boo Rivalry and Gozen, we're sitting there like, but Summon Limit and Anti-Spell are still just these continuous trap cards that lock us out of the game. They're both hit, like, instantly the next list. I think that's amazing, and good on Konami for that. But now it just shifts to like DDG, D-Barrier, the 1-turn Floodgates. And what's funny is the 1-turn Floodgates actually have like less counterplay than any other Floodgate because Red Reboot's gone, right? And besides Crossout Designator, there's no way to stop a 1-turn Floodgate normal trap card. Maybe they think those are fine. They, in some game states, you know, 1 turn might not be the difference. In 99% of Yu-Gi-Oh game states, the 1 turn is probably all that matters. Or at least 90% of Yu-Gi-Oh game states. But yeah, Anti-Spell being gone, huge. I like these. Maybe they missed D-Shifter, you could say. There's probably some other cards I could think that could have gone to 1, like Snake Eye Ash, but I think their goal wasn't to destroy Snake Eye, right? Like, they gave us the Linkuriboh hit, and Pure is kind of gone. So we only have to deal with Fire King, which is much more manageable, in my opinion. So yeah, overall, I don't know if when I check other people's reactions, if they're going to be screaming that there were no Snake Eye hits. To me, I don't really care, and I'm a rogue player, so this is coming from, like, someone who doesn't play almost any meta. I'm fine Snake Eye didn't get hit. I can just prepare my deck for Snake Eye Fire King, and it's fine. So, next list, I do think the Snake Eye hits should roll in, but I think it's totally fine that there's no Snake Eye hits to their engine. Like, maybe Wanted to 1 would have been fine. I really dislike Wanted because they just get that random extra piece of non-engine, which really annoys me if they draw non-engine, but besides that, I think I'm solid with this. Yeah, I don't really have too much complaints there. Some scary cards, but yeah. Okay, so for the semi-limits, real easy. Armageddon Knight, I actually don't know if this is coming from 1 to 2. I haven't seen Armageddon Knight played since I played back in, like, 2010. Like, I don't remember the last time Armageddon Knight was summoned on me. Like, I didn't play in the Dark Synchro era, and I didn't play in 2018, so this card hasn't been relevant to me for a long time, and I don't think 2 Armageddon Knight is literally going to do anything at all. Maybe could be good in Orchest, but they have Gearsu, which just seems 10 times better. It's way too slow in, like, a tier limit deck. I don't know what this is for. I do know a card that came to 3, which might make you think, like, this card's better, but the decks that are using that card have infinitely better ways to send it to graveyard than Armageddon Knight. Delicious Memory, I think, is scary. Now, Pearly's been doing almost nothing, but I liked that. I'm not a Pearly player, and I don't want to make Pearly players sad, but to all the Pearly players out there, your deck is extremely unfun to play against. It is not fun going against Towers Turbo, and their field spell is annoying, so, like, Delicious Memory to 2 might give Pearly a boost. It's a very strong card. The plump lines might come back. I mean, it's still not 100% certain you're going to get it. But yeah, this is a little scary for me because I don't like playing against Pearly. It demands different non-engine than every other deck in the format, like Herald of the Abyss and Kaijus, and now you have to slot those in for the 1% chance you see a Pearly player, which always feels bad, or you just, like, forfeit your Pearly match, it feels like sometimes. It's just not fun to play against. Noir is not fun, and this is, again, maybe it does nothing and Pearly doesn't move in the meta, but I just don't like the idea of them getting support back so quickly just because this deck is very unfun. Like, that's all I have to say about it. Again, no hate to the Pearly players. I think the deck is cool in theory, just their end board is toxic. So, yep. That's all I have to say about that. I can't wait to maybe have to play Herald of the Abyss again. Super fun card. Not. Alright, to 3. I think this unlimited section is actually more interesting than normal, because Malicious is at 3, which is a big one. Hero players, I think this affects the most. I don't think this, like, I wouldn't want to run 3 Malicious in my tier limit deck, to be honest. That sounds horrid. But Heroes, this could be good. And Heroes, I think everyone has sort of thought it for a while. Heroes are actually low-key pretty strong. They're just, like, set back by things like Nibiru, right? They don't have an Omni Negate. And I don't even know how much 3 Malicious really helps them, besides seeing it more with Ferris, maybe? Because they were doing all of their plays without it. They were still ending DPE, Dark Law, give you a Dark Angel, which, speaking of, Linkuriboh being gone might make Dark Angel kind of crazy again. But yeah, I mean, it's cool that they have 3 Malicious. I don't think this is going to do anything at all, to be honest. I don't see what 3 Malicious is scary about. Again, I didn't play in 2018, so I know some people are scarred by Malicious. Me, this card goes from 2 to 3 every now and then over the years, the last, like, decade. So, no, longer than a decade. Since 2008, this card has kind of jumped from 2 to 3 throughout its lifetime. So, no surprise there, I guess. Harp Horror to 3. From the Orcust player I know, he says, like, 1 to 3 isn't, like, the biggest change. I mean, I'm sure it does something, but it's, again, another Orcust card you don't always really want to draw. I'm sure it's a boost to Orcust, but I'm fine with that. Now I guess you draw Harp Horror and Imseti together more often, which is pretty good. That also means you draw more Harp Horror, and I don't know how good that is, but I think that's fine. Terror Top to 3 is awesome in my opinion. This isn't 2016 or 2017, so it shouldn't be so scary, but for me, I just want to play Phantom Knight. Like, I look at Terror Top to 3, and I'm like, I want to play Phantom Knight right now. I want to play Horus Phantom Knight. Like, that's the deck I want to build. I'm not picking up a Horus engine right now, so I won't be playing it unless I can borrow those cards. But I think 3 Terror Top and Phantom Knight sounds super fun. So yeah, I like Terror Top to 3, and obviously Speedroid players, they're probably over the moon. And Engage, I used to be scared every time they brought a Sky Striker card back. I've sort of left that mindset. I think even with 3 Engage, the thing is, what made Sky Striker so scary, and I came back at the end of 2020, so I wasn't there for TOS format. I don't know how everyone else in that format feels about it, but to me, coming back looking at Sky Striker, the thing that they were known for was the fact that their follow-up was unmatched. Nowadays, I think every deck has Sky Striker level follow-up to some extent. Like, I've played decks like Earth Machine back in 2021, things like Paleo Tier, just like grind decks like this, where I look at Sky Striker's follow-up and it just looks average, right? So Sky Striker still has some plays, and they have 3 Engage and 3 Linkage for the first time ever. I'm pretty sure Kagari's at 3. I guess I haven't been keeping up. Multi-Roll's at 3. So, yeah, I mean, they're what, full force? I just don't know if they do anything with that. Maybe, like, it's still a strong tier 2 deck, but especially without Mystic Mine, I don't see Sky Striker as a super huge threat, but very cool. Maybe as an engine, it's really strong again, though. That's something I should mention. I wasn't even thinking about that. As an engine, Engage with, like, Hornet Drones I know has seen play in the past. It's really weak to Droll. Maybe this actually makes, like, well, I guess pure Snake Eye doesn't exist. I would say, like, the Sky Striker Snake Eye deck with, like, Board Breakers is cooler with 3 Engage, but without pure, I don't know how relevant that is. I don't know if you'd play that in Fire King. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool overall. Overall, I'm going to give this ban list, like, a solid 8 out of 10. I think they missed some cards. Like, I wish D-Shifter got some hit. I wish Sanctifier got a hit. I wish the Centurion card, Calamities, got a hit. I wish there was, like, some way to hit D-Barrier and DDG, but there's so many one-turn floodgates. Like, I wish Harpy's Featherstorm maybe got hit. But overall, they've answered, I think, a lot of our concern. Again, I don't know if everyone's screaming that there's no Snake Eye hit, because I know a lot of players want that hit. I wanted it hit, but I think this ban page does what I wanted to do. Pure seems gone to me on the forefront. And that's huge, because Fire King feels so much more beatable. Like, every time I played it at all the regionals I've gone to, I don't want to sound ridiculous or say too much of a hot take, but I'm much more scared of playing against things like Voiceless Voice, Branded, than I am against Fire King Snake Eye. It feels like just a regular tier 1 deck. I'm more afraid of Rescue Ace, to be honest. Speaking of which, I wish Emergency was at 1 just because I don't like Rescue Ace, but, you know, that's just a personal thing. Either way, I like this list. I think it's really solid. I think a couple things were missed. I don't like Colossus being back. I don't like Protoss being back. Overall, though, solid list. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. That's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your thoughts down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about the ban list, because another Saturday ban list. I wasn't expecting this hype around the room, but, you know, this is our list for Nats, presumably, which is big. It means we, like, know what we're preparing for, which was the whole thing for me, and this is the list we're going into Legacy of Destruction with, where we'll get Tenpai. Overall, I like it. So yeah, feel free to leave your comments down below. I'll be sure to read them and respond, and maybe we can have a discussion down there. And with all that being said, this has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.